1, 2, 3, 4.
Introducing Professor Kubey.
You know, we were so moved by the thunderous encore that we decided we would do an encore. It was not planned, quite frankly, was it? Mississippi, John Barrows moved back to the multi-talented Mississippi. Some of you know Professor Katz. The other day he said to me, he was very hip because we played last week. He said, I really appreciated your command of the skins, he said. So Mississippi is on the skins. This is a little number that first grew up here in the village by the Village Fugs. And it's called, we don't know what it's called, but we've updated it. So we're going to do it, and later on you'll see us in Bellevue. Ready for this? Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday and Thursday, nothing. Friday for a change, a little more, nothing. Saturday, Sunday, nothing.
How did the professors come about?
Well, it's really quite simple. I was at a New Year's party over here on 6th Avenue, the street over from where we are now. And there was some good music on the stereo, and it was right around midnight before the year changed. And I don't know where it came from, but there was some kind of box or a cardboard box right near me, and I started just hitting like with my fingers like this, and it's fun. It's like a bongo. And I went, God, I like, I used to love playing the drums. I'm gonna start a band again, And so then Gary Radford, who's basically running the band, was a graduate student of mine, I think, at the time. And that's a good story. When you know who Marie Radford is. She's in the band now. That's his wife. They were met as graduate students. I met Gary before Marie met her because a colleague of mine, Dennis Mumby, and I had a car, he didn't. We needed to pick up Gary off the plane coming in from England. So I noticed when he got off the plane, when we first picked him up and he was carrying his luggage, that he had all these scratch marks on his fingernails, which is a telltale sign that the guy's either crazy or he plays the guitar. So I said, hey, you play the guitar? And he said, oh, yes, I'm Gary, I play the guitar and all this. And so I just kind of filed that away in my head. And I don't know, some years later, when it was that New Year's party, which had to have been like 18 years ago, I said, hey, Gary, why don't we start a band? And then I still don't understand it, but a guy named Nick Belkin, who is a colleague of mine in a different department,
States of knowledge. And I won a teaching award from ACES, right? I mean, I'm a really good professor, right? Okay?
A guy named Nick Belkin, who was a colleague of mine in a different department, knew this guy named Tomasz Jamilinski, who was the chair of the computer science department at Rutgers, and had just started learning to teaching himself how to play lead. And I guess he took some lessons. And he was kind of imitating some heavy metal stuff, Rage Against the Machine and stuff like that. And so he came up with some pretty good riffs on some stuff. Didn't know what he was doing. It's probably true to this day. We played at Kenny's Castaways some years ago in the Village. He could not tune his guitar. He did that. Gary would have to go over and tune Tomash's guitar for him. And as long as he was in the band, he could never tune his guitar. But he really was good. I mean, but he couldn't. Well, they used to say that, well, it's true that Ringo couldn't read drum music at all, right? He's a pretty good drummer. There's an old joke, by the way. Someone asks, how many musicians do you have in your band? And the guy says, oh, yeah, we have 4 musicians and a drummer. Okay, I didn't do that. It wasn't very funny. So we started playing. We started playing in the room we're sitting in now. And we didn't have a bass player the first time or two. I said, we need a bass player. So I don't know who. Someone knew of a guy who played bass, and he was not very good. And I really can't tell. Then we got a really professional quality bass player later on named Steve Cooper, who's a professor now someplace west of here. And then Nick's a very good bass player too. But you need a bass player badly. And I used to borrow someone's drum set till I bought one for the band.
Describe that first session with you guys.
Boy, I don't know if I remember the very first one. Well, it was fun. It was always fun. And at that time, we didn't have anything original. So we were, anything we did was just a riff. Some kind of blues riff or a rock riff or something that we'd heard before. Because this band started when my little one, my younger son Daniel, was 3, and he'd be in this room and we played a song called Psycho Killer for a while, which I think is a song by Talking Heads or something. And Daniel would find it kind of scary because he was essentially a baby. He's 2 or 3 years old, and his dad's like playing the drums, and these guys are, making all this noise in the living room. Well, the first gig was a trip. So the guy that helped put the band together, this guy Nick Belkin, who was a distinguished professor at Rutgers, a professor too, and I've known him. I met him the first day I got here, 28 years ago. So his daughter was graduating from Highland Park High, which, was right over here, and so they decided to have the professors play at her high school graduation party, which I can't even imagine, having my dad play in a band at my high school graduation. Forget about it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
played in his living room. And I warned Nick that night, because I know about drums, I said, you know, if you leave the windows open in June, and you might want to leave the windows open because it's starting to get warm, that the sound of a drum will travel for miles. And I don't know if he left them open or not, but you have a rock and roll band playing in the living room, people can hear it for some distance. So we played until about 11 o'clock that night. We stopped playing, and the police came by once and warned them, and then the police came by after I had left another time. And so the kids are out in the backyard. These are all high school graduates. They're saying goodbye to each other for the last, you know, or, I don't know, wow, we graduated from high school. And the sound is still going on. So a cop comes to the backyard to ask them again to quiet down. And he's in the backyard, and Nick didn't take well to it. He didn't like that this cop was walking around in his backyard without him giving him permission to do so. And he went over. He didn't try and shove the guy or anything like that. He's just talking to him in a friendly manner, put his hand on the guy's shoulder, and the guy just snapped handcuffs on him. So they obviously, I don't know, Nick must have given them some guff before from the point of view of a police person, right, before that. So he gets arrested. And in the next instant, I wasn't there, but the story has been told to me. The next instant, his son Paul, who later went to Berkeley as an undergraduate, and he's a great kid, he says, "What are you doing with my father? You can't arrest my father like that." Bang! They put handcuffs on him. And then his friend, an African-American guy, he flips out that his friend Paul's been arrested, and then they arrest him. And they take the three of them over here to the police station over here further on the south side. This is North Fifth, they're on the south Fifth. And they don't have a cell big enough for them, I guess, or something, so they handcuffed them to the bench. Now, I didn't know any of this was going on. I had left, I'd packed up my drums, gone home. I wasn't going to hang around till 1 or 2 in the morning and talk to a bunch of high school kids, and I wasn't in my class, I wasn't interested. So the next morning I called Nick's wife, Kristen Balkin. I didn't mean to call her, I just called the house because I said, I think one of us left a microphone cord there or something, and I just wanted to come over later. And she's from Germany, and she said, "Oh, Bob, do you hear what happened? Nick was arrested last night." I went, "What? There was an arrest after our first gig? No way!" And she didn't say way, but I mean, and I thought, this is a great way to start a band. I mean, what could be better than that, you know? And the funny thing is, there's never been another arrest. Now, by the way, I'm be clear, I don't advocate people doing anything against the law or breaking the law or being too noisy. Everyone should behave well at all times. But I thought it was a good way for a band to become kind of notorious from the beginning. And then all these original songs started being written, which is actually unusual for a band, a band of a bunch of amateurs, you know, to have so much original stuff. Some of which is good, I think. Like the Untenured Blues thing is it's a really good tune, which I'm pretty sure they still do, right? And if you're a professor, you really understand that song. I mean, let me tell you.
Never done this before.
Hi, my name is Ruthie, and I've never seen this before in my life.
No, wait. I thought Ruthie was. This is literally the first time Ruthie's ever even done this song, seen this song. She was just back from touring Italy and played. This is true. Don't laugh.
It's true.
She was just playing. She was just singing in Milan, very close to the Duomo in Milan.
Not far from the Duomo. Did you go to the Duomo in Firenze ever?
Firenze? Yeah, of course.
Did you climb the Duomo?
Looks like a big cake.
It doesn't, it does. It's all these stripes and layers.
All right, ready? We're playing a song.
All right. Ready, ready. I'm fresh out of grad school, diploma in hand. Can't wait to get started. Got everything planned. My stars set to shine, but they suck out my spine. I got the untenured groove, teaching on Friday, Saturday too, 8 a.m. Monday, but what can I do? The students berate me, they say they all hate me. I got the untenured groove. I'm so disillusioned. I'm lost in my balls, just taking the credit. I'm taking the fall. My thing's a mystery. My sex life's history. I got the untenured groove. I'm caught in the crossfire. Mother took woe. I know who my friends are, or what it's all for. To react, got a knife in my back. Oh, I got the untenured groove. I'm covering colleagues, I'm doing the stats, they're getting the glory, I'm getting the shaft, did all that I could, it's a bottle of Deadwood, oh, I got the untenured blues, so that is the story. Don't wanna sound crude. Worked hard for 6 years, then I got screwed. They said that I struck. Now I'm an adjunct. Oh, I got the untenured blues.
Thank you, Ruthie. And you can see that she was just getting the hang of the song at the end. Because like I said, we never do that song in public normally. So Ruthie, this is your song from now on. Have your people call our people.
We'll email.
Well, you know, they're both creative endeavors. You know, if you were to ask me like what it's like to be an academic and have this rock and roll band, on the one hand, it seems very different. My goal in part was to break the stereotype of professors being stodgy, boring, you know, people not in touch with popular or current culture. So my dream was, a dream, but I mean, the optimal thing I thought to have happen would be that some people would be hearing us play at an academic conference, which we did do in Chicago. The first couple, we played the International Communication Association meeting, where everybody would expect us to be awful. And in those days, a lot of people knew me in that association, so they went, you know, Kubey's got a rock and roll band. This is going to be hilarious. They're going to be terrible.
It's good to see all you scholars and researchers out there. I want to introduce the members of the professors. Back here on bass, we've got born in Long Branch, New Jersey, Professor Steve Cooper. And on lead guitar from Gdansk, Poland, Professor Thomas Simolinski. To my right, from Nottingham, England, Professor Gary Radford. On lead vocals, from Rutgers University, as most of us are, Professor Jennifer Lair.
I'm William Patterson.
I might mention a couple things. We're going to play one more set after this, and then we have a live jam with a bunch of people who've never played together, professors from 7 different universities. I'm Bob Kubey. I'm from Rutgers. I am Professor Bob Kubey. Okay.
I finally learned a lesson. She learned a long time ago. The next man I marry is gonna work and bring me home that dough. Have you ever been mistreated? You'll know just what I'm talking about. I worked for the long years for one man. He had the nerve to put me out.
And then we'd come out and we'd play that song that Simolinski wrote, the CRAP song. And I mean, it kicks. I mean, it's a pretty good song, you know, and people go, oh, listen to this.
stand for the professors. Let's stand for them.
Thank you, New York City. Thank you.
The professors, we got Blue Race up next.
What if we told you that your favorite professor was in a band? Which is a great line, whoever came up with that. It could also be, imagine if your worst professor was in a band and then it changed your view around completely and now you thought he was cool. Well, actually, that's the place it's come together for me over the years. When people, sometimes see people have even review me, I think on ratemyprofessor.com, ratemyprofessors.com or something. I think someone says, you may not know it, but he's in a rock and roll band called The Professors.
Well, you're doing the change thing.
You're doing the change thing.
I'm frustrated.
Right.
Ruth is an actress.
He's trying to get into character for the song. Thinks it'll impress me, but I don't know.
I need you, baby. I need you now. I need you, baby. And how? Come up my room in the middle of the night. Come up my room, make me feel alright. Cause I need you. Yeah, wait, it just explode now. I got it. Yeah! It's always the band's
I
fault.
don't know. You better change.
Got to change.
Change your ways. You got to change. Change your ways.
I gave you a TV
That's right.
and a VCR.
That's the
I bought you a hairdryer and a new car. You owe me, baby. You owe me bad. You owe me, baby. Cause I'm a cat.
gotta change. Change your ways.
I can't change.
You gotta change. Change your ways.
I can't change. I can't change.
Try.
I bought you a TV and a VCR. I bought you a hairdryer and an empty car. I love you, baby, all night long. Come to me, baby. I'm all alone, yeah.
Change your ways. You got to change. Change your ways. That's all I gotta say.
You come up my room, knock on the door. Come up my room, knock on the door. Come in my room, make me feel alright. Come in my room, make me feel alright.
Good, but you gotta change.
I can't change.
Your ways. You got to change your ways. You gotta change your ways. You gotta change your ways.
Jimi Hendrix is the only rock musician that holds up through the generations, to my mind. The Beatles don't hold up. I mean, in the mind of most undergraduates, know Jimi Hendrix. And so the fact that I saw him even live has meaning to say, you saw Hendrix when he was alive, oh my God. I went, yeah, I saw him, and I drank, I have a beer can that he drank from. And I went, no. I went, yeah. And then students tell me sometimes that I may have ingested Jimi Hendrix's genes in my body, because there would have been backwash, is that what you guys call it? We didn't even have that term. So, you know, from him drinking the beer, some of his genes from his saliva would have gotten back in the can that I then ingested, and they're probably still in my body. So my notion is when microbiology gets far enough, someone's going to be able to go into my body, pull these Jimi Hendrix genes out, we'll clone Jimi Hendrix, we'll get some friend of Stevie Ray Vaughan to come out and teach him how to play again, and he'll be reborn. All from my gut. Brent Rubin, who's very well known around the university, he had us play a meeting 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where they had a bunch of people who were like an accrediting agency for universities who were here to look at Rutgers. And so he had us play just a small thing. There were 30 people there at lunch, right? But they were impressed. They were saying like, hey, this is very cool. You know, these professors are working together in a different modality completely than what they usually do. But it isn't that different. You're writing, you're interacting, you're thinking, you're trying to express what's going on in the world. You know, if you're a social scientist, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing in a band. You know, you're trying to give expression or describe life.
I gotta get in the right mood. I don't know if I'm Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday and Thursday, no. You'll throw me off. I'm having a throw. Friday, change a little more, nothing. Saturday, Sunday, nothing. January, nothing. February, nothing. March and April, nothing. May and June, a whole lot of nothing. July and August, nothing. 1968, nothing. 1992, nothing. Even 1999, nothing. The coming millennium, a whole lot of nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Dickens, nothing. Twain, nothing. Faulkner and Hemingway, nothing. Greenwich Village and Cornelia Street, nothing, nothing, nothing. Venus, nothing. Mars, nothing. Even Uranus, nothing. Neptune and Pluto, a whole lot of nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Take it away, Gary! Is nothing. Nothing so sure, nothing even Stuart Hall, nothing. Freud and Marx, a whole lot of nothing, 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 nothing. A hamstring, nothing. Achilles tendon, nothing. Dimples on his face, nothing. Everybody in this room, a whole lot of nothing, 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 nothing. hell out of it. Not a damn thing. We're taking a break.
So anyway, it's a lot of fun to play rock and roll with other professors. It's a lot of fun to just play rock and roll and blues, which is, I think I love more than rock and roll. And there's feeling there. There's so much feeling, particularly in blues. It's passionate. You know, there's a picture of me that I found. I didn't even know it had been taken. I mean, I just look like I'm really happy when I'm playing the drums. So there's a very cool colleague I have named Eric Sinreich in Journalism and Media Studies. Great bass player. And so last week on Saturday, his band, which is called Brave New Girl or Brave New Girls, was playing at a club on Park Avenue South in New York. And so he put something together with his band. It opened for the professors. I mean, although we thought we were going to get blown away, and the professors definitely hung in there with them. So that was cool, and Ben was over there, my son. At the last minute, we decided we could go in. I mean, I didn't even know if I could get through Penn Station the other night. So that was cool. I only sat in on Untenured Blues, and a bunch of people in the club. I was stumbling trying to get, because there's all this equipment there. But anyway, it was great, and I found that I could still play. I mean, it's like riding a bicycle. It really is. And tonight, I'm just amazed that I'm playing as well as I am. I think I'm playing as well as I ever did, maybe better. Not that I was ever very good, I don't think. But we were playing Wipeout just a second ago. It always threw me because it seemed like there's too much attention on the drummer, and I got through it somehow. So anyway, it's just been amazing tonight. Just, I feel reborn.
Thank you.
I'm probably calling.
Like, what's it like? Like, what's that nostalgic feeling that you get when you start playing like last week and tonight with Nick and Gary?
Well, it's great, but I wouldn't even call it nostalgic. It's like brand new and wonderful. I just feel wonderful. It's rarely been as happy as I am tonight. It really is. I mean, it's just that I helped create this thing all those years ago, and it's still rolling after 18 years. Who would have thought? And they're going to roll forever, you know? I mean, the way they're going.
Now I'm an adjunct.
Any messages for the band as they continue on?
Let me back in. Let me back in. Kick Peter off. No, what I'm going to do is when they'll let me come back and play a few songs with them right here, and if they will let me, I'm going to be a happier camper. It's amazing to me that I had this moment at a New Year's party 18 years ago when I thought, hey, why don't we start a band? And here it is, it's still going on 18 years later. There have probably been 30 different people in the band. You've got a couple constants like Gary Radford and Nick Romanenko and all these different people. We've had 3, 4, 7 different female women singers who have been great. And when I hear that they're playing a gig at the Lions Inn or Lions Den where you guys shot a few Fridays ago, I'm going, all those people, they're dancing, they're doing different things. It has to do with some little idea I had like 18 years ago. I mean, they wouldn't have been there if I hadn't come up with that.
That was fun.
Fresh out of grad school, diploma in hand, can't wait to get started, got everything planned, my stars set to shine, but they suck down my spine. I've got the untenured blues. I'm so disillusioned, I'm afraid to react. Got a knife in my back. I've got the untenured I'm covering collies. I'm doing their stats. They're getting the glory. I'm getting the shaft. Did all that I could, supporting the dead wood. Have got the untenured blues, and that is my story. I don't want to sound crude, but I worked hard for 6 years, and then I got screwed. They said that I stunk. Now I'm an adjunct. I've got